Shower. I'm finally taking a shower today. I haven't had one in months. My mommy and I work night and day. Underneath the blazing sun. I'm finally taking a shower today. I say as I eat my gruel. Mommy made a high-pitched moan. As sad as a dying mule. I'm finally taking a shower today. I say to the workers outside. As they smile and shake my hand, I wonder. Why did they tell me goodbye? I'm finally taking a shower today. I say to the soldier with a grin. He smiles and opens the shower door, inviting me to come in. I'm finally taking a shower today. As my vision fades away, a light comes towards me and I smile with glee. I saw my daddy today. Sojourning in Auschwitz concentration camp about 2 years ago, I visited the Auschwitz concentration camp with my parents. At one point, I separated from them, because they are always slow while sightseeing. I entered the room that I later found out was used for torturing prisoners. Generally, throughout Auschwitz, I was feeling an overwhelming sadness, but I felt really strange there. Sadness, helplessness, and apathy. Then I heard a woman voice singing. I was alone, there were no speakers. I left this room and immediately stopped hearing singing. When I returned to the room, I heard the singing again and was still alone. I stayed there feeling an overwhelming sadness until my mother joined me. Then the singing stopped. Unfortunately, I don't remember what she was singing about, but song was really sad. Something happened yesterday with my 3-year-old cousin. Yes, this is a true story. Yesterday, I had to watch my 3-year-old cousin. His mom was gone, and I was watching him for the weekend. He was being the overhyper 3-year-old he is. Then he started giving me a stare. He smiled and said, "Mama," he was pointing out the screen door. I looked out the screen door. No one was there. I told him no one was there. And, he was 3, he wasn't able to say much. He says things like food, juice, mama, etc. But, then he said something, terrifying. It's time sayud night. I panicked. I kept looking out the window. No one was there. But he kept repeating it, and started banging on the windows. I put him in the playpen after that. Anyway, I'll keep you guys updated. Stray cat saves me while camping. I was at a youth camp for girls when I was a teen. One of my friends found a cat, obviously someone's pet, super friendly with a collar, so I said I would take care of it that day and night, then I would drop it off at the campground's office the next day. That night the cat was sleeping on my chest when I was awakened by a low growl coming from just outside. The cat took off hissing and growling after the beast. I could hear hissing, growling, and fighting. I was terrified for myself and the cat. Before I could scramble out of my sleeping bag, the cat came back in, tail high and acting proud. About 10 minutes later, the smell of skunk spray filled the campground when the skunk that had been right outside decided to spray the next tent over instead of the tent with the feline of fury inside. The girl in the train. This is a translation of a Brazilian history that I found in Twitter. So this guy that was hearing other people conversations in the bus home to pass the time, and he heard the following. Opie was a girl that was in a vacation in London and she was taking a train late at night. Then, 3 very high man and a woman got on the train and began making out, but something was off. The woman seemed static. Then, a homeless man got on and sat next to Opie. Then, in the next station, the homeless man grabbed Opie and sprinted out. She started screaming, but the man said, "Why are you screaming?" "I saved you." "Opie, what?" Homeless man. The woman wasn't blinking, they were holding a corpse. The man who can make you a fun person. My friend always complained to me that he was a boring person. The only reason I am his friend is because I have known him since childhood and our families know each other as well, so we are like brothers. He told me that he found a man who can make him fun, and I wished him all the best with it, even though I discouraged him from going to this stranger. Then I got a phone call from my friend's phone, but it was the stranger on the other end of the line, who my friend said could make him fun. I arrived at the destination he told me to go. I then observed 2 humanoid creatures joyously playing catch with the chopped off limbs that was my friend. "Look, I have made your friend fun." He laughed hysterically. I drove off. I called the police and everything, but that man was nowhere to be found. The spirit in my house likes to decorate for Christmas. My family and I have been dealing with what seems to be poltergeist activity in the home we're renting. Occasionally we will see figures, hear voices, etc. What intrigues me the most is sometimes strange things that occur, such as me walking into my kitchen to find every cabinet is wide open as well as everything plugged into an outlet is unplugged. December 1st comes around and I pull the Christmas tree out of storage and begin assembling it, but I haven't added the ornaments yet. At that time, I was very tired due to lack of sleep, so I took a nap. After waking up, I walk out into the living room and I realize that there is one ornament hung in the center of my tree. I got chills because my parents are on a work trip and I am home alone. Maybe they like the holidays. I think it's pretty wholesome but creepy, nonetheless. The woman in the sewers. True story. One night my friend and me decided to smoke weed and take walk around the old walking mall. Walking there at night is usually peaceful. Until we were walking along the walkway and we heard someone walking below us in the sewer tunnels. So we decided to listen carefully at the drainage crate. Nothing was to be heard until we start walking and the splashes got louder and faster, so we ran and it followed us. We go to sit down on the fountain and then by this old metal bar window is a creepy, very scary looking woman. With big eyes and long creepy smile with pointy long fingers, pointing at us and smiling. According to my friend, when he seen her he felt like his soul left him and fear he's never felt before. Never going there again. Edit, thank you for the upvotes. Beaming face with smiling eyes. Think I got a hello from dead ex-boyfriend. My ex died a couple of years ago. From the funeral I had 2 photos of him. One is on a shelf in the dining room and another on the fridge in the kitchen. Yesterday I was cleaning and going back and forth and suddenly thought of him. It was strange because I felt like he was just right there with me. I've felt this once or twice before with deceased relatives but don't think much of it. Except suddenly at that moment I rounded the corner and found both photos of him together on the floor, between the kitchen and dining room. I can't find an explanation that makes sense for that one. Both photos have been in their same spots for a long time and have never just fallen down. It was particularly strange that they were away from their original locations and met at the middle. Felt like a quick and playful hello. TSA agent said something odd to me when I was in high school. I would travel for swim meets a few times a year. During one of the last few my mom and I were traveling home through the Fort Lauderdale airport. While in line for TSA, before they check your ticket/ID and such, a TSA agent grabbed my arm abruptly and said, "You have a good soul." My mom was very worried and played it off by grabbing my other arm and saying something along the lines of, "Oh, I think he's great too." The TSA agent held on a bit longer before directing us to get our tickets checked. It didn't seem malicious, but I was still weirded about by it. I hope this is the community for this. I'll think about this occasionally but have never really shared it. I'd be curious to hear others' thoughts. 2 phones calling each other earlier this evening. I was taking my partner home and we were driving in my car. As we headed to their place, they stopped talking mid-conversation to answer a phone call on their cell phone. They don't answer, looking perplexed for a moment before holding the phone for me to see I was the one calling them. Confused, I looked down at my phone, which sat face down in my lap. Turning it over, it revealed something even stranger. I was receiving a call from them. At that moment, we both looked at each wide-eyed, confirming we had both seen the same thing. The remainder of the drive was marked by predominantly eerie silence before I dropped them off and said my goodbyes. Has anybody experienced anything similar? Genuinely not sure what to feel. Unplugged light on for hours after my cat passed. My sweet boy, Butters, passed on Saturday night. He was nearly 19 years old and so loved. After we buried him, my husband went to turn off the lights in our outdoor room near where we buried him, but this one light bulb wouldn't turn off when he flipped the switch, so he unplugged it, but it still wouldn't turn off. He unscrewed the bulb and it turned off, but as soon as he screwed it back in it turned back on. It was completely unplugged and there were 3 other light bulbs on the same light that were not acting weird. We left it on for a while out of curiosity thinking it would just turn off in a few minutes. But we forgot about it for a few hours and then went back to check it and it was still on. It's very strange. I've researched it but I can't find any logical reason for this happening. Veil between worlds getting thinner. I believe we have 2 separate realms on the same plane in the 3rd dimension we live in. the physical, current, and the spiritual, spirit realm. I also believe the spirit realms hold spirits and entities of all types and forms, good and bad. Has anyone noticed a drastic increase in weird occurrences, paranormal, cryptid, weird emotions recently in the past month to only grow? I have, not only in my own life but a lot with people on so many different subreddits. I feel as though the veil between worlds is becoming less enforced, allowing us to interact with these beings/presences. I've heard the closer to Halloween, and especially on Halloween, the veil is its weakest, or is it something bigger and more permanent? Maybe something to do with the Earth's rays in consciousness and humans' rays in vibration. Any thoughts? Very odd phone call from Myrtle's Plantation. A few minutes ago I had an incoming call from Francisville, LA. I ignored the call, and they called back, so I answered. There was a woman's voice, super raspy. She said, "I heard you have a birthday coming up. I have a present for you." She then proceeded to sing, "Ring Around the Rosie," and then began to giggle, but in a completely different tone of voice, and then hung up. I googled the phone number and found that it's from the Myrtle's Plantation. I called the number back and a young woman who works there answered the phone. I explained to her what had just happened, and asked her if the place is haunted. She said it's the most haunted home in America. All of the hair on my body is standing up. I'm thoroughly freaked out. I live in the Northeast and have never been to Louisiana. Voice at the funeral home. Hey everyone. I have been working at a funeral home for about a year as an assistant, and will be starting my apprenticeship next month. I have had several weird encounters since working there, but nothing to write about until tonight. I got back from picking up a decedent at around 8:30 p.m. I wheeled them into the prep room, and as I turned around to close the door behind me, I heard a man's voice. The voice either said, "I'm here" or "come here." I was not too freaked out. Weird stuff happens a lot. However, this is the first time I have actually heard disembodied words. This is not the most exciting story, but I thought it was worth sharing with this sub. Happy winter solstice.